or do you want me to put it aside as I have?
Well,
We're almost on, so
Okay.
as the other ladies have said, I
Okay.
don't really know what the project
Okay.
entails. I've only heard things.
Okay.
So before reacting, I think
Okay.
it would be wise to.
Okay, with that said, good evening. The Design Review Board number 2 public meeting of April 28th, 2011 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current Design Review Board agendas are available by calling our Design Review Board hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and Design Review Board reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the Design Review Board decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at his discretion. Roll call, Board Member Baladian.
Here.
Board Member Garagos is not here. Board Member Malikian.
Here.
Chairman Malikian, I should say. Board Member Sakai.
Here.
And Board Member Zarifian will also not be joining us this evening. Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on April 21st, 2011. Oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. I do not have any oral communication cards. Chairman Malikian?
We do not have
None
any more.
so moved. And which brings us to the review calendar. At this time, there are no staff announcements, and there are no items on the consent calendar. We have one case on tonight's agenda, and I'd like to turn the meeting over to Chairman Malikian.
Okay. Well, if everyone's ready, then we can go ahead and get started. Yes, the case number is 2 PDR 2011-016-A.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. As you mentioned, the case number is 2 PDR 2011-016A, located at 3215 Country Club Drive. This project is a first-time submittal for final review. The proposal is to add 719 square feet of living area to the existing 1,494 square foot one-story house. The house sits on a 590 square foot lot, which fronts Country Club Drive, and at the rear it fronts San Gabriel. The majority of the addition is proposed to take place at the rear of the house, which is facing San Gabriel, and 178 square feet is proposed at the front. Historic Preservation Planner has reviewed this project and has determined that the existing house is not a historic resource. There are no oak bay sycamore trees on the site based on the information given by the applicant. Staff has worked with the applicant for quite some time, fine-tuning the project, and what you see in front of you is the final product that staff can support, with one consideration for the board to consider as a condition to have the applicant hire a professional landscape architect to do the landscape plan prior to issuance of any building permit. That pretty much sums up my brief presentation. If you have questions, I'm available.
Okay.
Applicant is also here.
Do we have any
And
questions?
also for the record, I have given you 3 email correspondence by neighbors in opposition, and I have given each one of you a copy of each of those emails.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for staff?
Is the porch, if they're proposing a new porch? Or should you have to ask architect?
No,
Confused as to what's new.
actually, there's an existing patio that is proposed to be removed, and the addition at the rear. Are we talking about the rear or
The
the
front
The
porch.
front. That's an existing one that will remain.
They remain. And so it's just the windows and the second fireplace and the new dining room. That's going to be changed out.
Correct.
And the windows, so all the windows in the front are going to be new.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Franco Norabi? You have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and board members. My name is Franco Noravian, 409 West Broadway, Glendale, California, 91204. I'm the architect on the project. I read the emails. First, I want to correct something. The email mentioned it's a mistake on the plans. It says the property to the south is a two-story. In fact, if you look at the pictures, it's obvious that it's a one-story. The property to the north is a two-story, and I just copied it. So it's a one-story building. But having said that, I think it should be noted as you look at the site planning that the properties on either side are twice the width, more than twice the width of our project, and so therefore even a one-story house it has a large roof to cover the footprint of the building. So it does appear a larger building, and as I said, the property to the south is a two-story. I think it's reasonable for
One-story property to the south.
south and north. Let me hold on one second. Property. Oh, correct. South is one story. The north is two story. So I think it's reasonable to allow us to come forward a little bit because the effect that our addition will have, it's not as much since it's much narrower, and I'd like to hear what the neighbors have to say. But I do have an alternate plan to make it even smaller than what we're proposing and push it away more from the property line to allow the neighbor to the south to have more views.
Just a quick question, and I guess you had the opportunity to read the letters.
Yes.
Any general comment on the letters that you kind of summarize what you thought?
Well,
Give your thoughts on before you hear the neighbors if they are going to speak?
well, my comment is that obviously across the street is the golf course, and everybody wants the view of the golf course, and they have 90 feet to enjoy that view, and our property only has 44 feet. And so we just like a little bit of we want to have a little bit of windows towards the front also.
Right.
So in one of the alternate plans that I'm submitting, I've moved it over and I made the windows smaller. But
Is this the alternate?
No, that's the original
Behind
plan
it.
that was submitted. The alternate plan is behind it.
So can we look at the alternate plan?
Of course, yeah.
Push the like a few feet over.
Behind this, in case you want to see it.
So you pushed it by what, 2-3 feet?
It's an additional 2.5 feet. So it's 3.5 feet from the corner, and it's 7.5 feet from the property line.
I see.
And I also pushed it back a foot from
A
the
foot.
front.
Okay.
So it's 26.5 feet now.
Okay.
And that's all. We're matching all the details of the house: wood siding, wood windows, even the true divided light diamond grid windows. So
I have a question. You don't have any grade elevations. Do you have any idea about if there are any? It seems there is a retaining wall in between the subject property and the property to the south.
it's
Or is it a planter wall? I mean,
a fence wall.
It's well,
Property to the south.
there's shrubs and there's some kind of a brick retaining condition. Do you have any idea as far as the elevation of the? We'll definitely need that, so we'll look at it. If you can hand that over, that would be great.
Once it comes up, the pad is flat. Once we come up from Country Club Drive, but I don't know about. I didn't pay attention to the difference between the two.
Okay.
Maybe the other pictures.
Or maybe
will.
some of these photos will help us. Okay. Okay, thank you.
If you have any questions, I'm available.
Yeah,
Thank you.
if you can just hang in there, I'm sure we'll have some questions.
Where's it going to go?
So, So we're done with him. Would you like to speak, or would you like me to call you? Okay. So Susan Seidenglantz? If you could state your name and address, please, and then...
My name is Susan Seidenglantz. I'm at 3207 Country Club Drive, the house to the south. I'm not really prepared to discuss this. I wasn't really sure how this was going to go, but I've been told that the property extension out front will be approximately 12 feet. And you can note those pictures are from my dining room. I have a large oval glass dining room window that looks out on the side. There is, in fact, a retaining wall there. But if you move it out 12 feet, that completely blocks that view from the dining room. So I appreciate that they want to remodel their house or redo it. I'm familiar with the house. It is a small footprint. It was a small house. It is a small piece of property. There's only so much you can squeeze into it. And, I'm not affected by how much is added to the back. So I don't really want to deny what they want to do to their property, but I also don't want the value of my own property and the view that I purchased to be affected.
Okay.
So you can see it's a great view, and if 12 feet goes out that far, it's going to block all of that.
Well, just a quick comment. Design review does not have any, how would I say it, the view obstruction is not part of our design review elements that we need to keep in mind. We'll definitely keep in mind what you're saying, but as far as blocking a view is not one of the items that, if it's a privacy issue, that's a different story. But in this case, we don't have any windows looking back into the space. And that's pretty much the limit that we have as far as going and looking at it as a code-wise. But as far as the design of the building, that's where we're going to try to see if we can come to some compromise there and come up with something there that we can kind of help you and help the applicant and figure out if there is any solution. So,
Well, I certainly appreciate that they're going to keep the property consistent with the neighborhood, so I'm very pleased about the look of that. But I still feel that I appreciate what your rules and regulations are, but
Right.
but view is still a part of that, and there's still a setback that we've all agreed to. The houses are all built to that similar setback. There's not a great deal of difference between the front of my property or theirs. If I'd wanted a smaller house without a view, I wouldn't have bought that house. So I appreciate that, like I said, that they want to expand their property, and they're going to be my neighbors. I don't want to create a problem, but I also realize that it does affect my property.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Mary Nielsen?
I'm Mary Nelson. I live to the north, and my home is a split-level home, so it isn't technically 2 stories, but I'm surprised that to learn this home was built in 1951, and when the Ramoneses were buying the house, we had to sign a waiver because the people who built the house in 1951 built over our property line, and we had to remove 12 trees in order to put our driveway in. And as far as the view, I totally concur with our neighbor. Her home is designed in a way that this view is such a spectacular view. It's just, you have to be in there to look and see and to realize. And as far as the view of the country club property from this home, it's terrific because darling Alicia walked over and had them move a gate so that she had a view of the golf course. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to? Please state your name and address, please.
Janice Drugan, 3227 Country Club Drive. I'm on the other side of Mary, so I'm 2 houses away from the house we're talking about. And I don't want to see the frontage come forward on the lot, only because right now everything is fairly even. We had a house one block south of this project recently completed. I believe it was a year to year and a half ago that it was completed, and they did it almost a tear down and rebuilt, and they did a fantastic job keeping their frontages equal to what was already existing in the neighborhood. I don't care what they do in the back. I almost wish they could go 2 stories, all of it. But I'd really hate to see them come forward. If they want to enlarge their windows so they have a better view of the golf course, who cares? That's fine. But with her room, which is absolutely a spectacular curved walled room, I hate to see her sunlight blocked and her view taken away from her.
Thank you.
Just real quickly, I wanted to say that hopefully the alternative plan that I've submitted,
2 minutes.
pushing it over, it doesn't block the view as much. And we're only coming out, is it 10 feet or 10 and a half feet now in this? The other thing I wanted to say is keep in mind that the 25.5 foot set or the 26.5 foot setback that we're talking about now is from the property line, but Country Club Drive is, I think there's about 12 feet from curb face to property line. So it's actually, don't think of it as from the street, it's not 26.5. It's actually another 12 feet or so more as far as front setback. And once again, this new addition is only 150 square feet in the front. I understand, we are coming closer to the street than everyone else, but because it's so small, I don't think it would have a negative impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Start?
This is an easy and a tough one. It's a little addition, but it's pretty. Thank you.
I thought this was going to be a slam dunk. Should we start?
So, okay, well, go ahead.
Like Alan said, it is tricky. I don't have a problem with the design. I mean, the finishing and all that. Thank you for your opinion. I mean, you're entitled for your opinion and your view and all that. I'm trying to put my shoes on both sides. So I don't have a problem with the addition. I mean, that's the only way. You have to realize that we have 2 large properties on each side, and I'm in the middle. If I was the owner of that property and I have this house, what am I going to do? I'm going to go a little bit from the back to enjoy that view where I have on the side. But also you have to think about it's a beautiful view, it's curved and all that. Whoever designed it did an amazing job designing that room to enjoy and celebrate that golf course and the view. But after looking that, if you look at it, let's assume that your house was next to a vacant lot. If the architect was designing, if that you had a vacant lot and your architect was designing this house to please your program with that view and all that, his duty would have told you, remember one day somebody would come and will build a house there, because that view is triggered towards the side, so it's not straight shot down towards the golf course. So you're not only enjoying the view of the front, you're taking on the side too, which is unfair to that person one day wanting to build a house there if to stay within the perimeter of the zoning, the setbacks. So that's the tricky part I'm having, how I would react. But I appreciate the architect gave the effort reading the comments and tried to, offset the bedroom 2.5, 3 feet farther in. I mean, it helps. I mean, it's in between. But at the end of the day, you guys should be happy. You guys are going to live next to each other. It's not that critical. If it was that the addition in the front was sticking too much, and then all the neighbors' homes are 1-stories, and they're like 20 feet beyond, and then you have this major addition sticking up, then I would say, I have a little problem because it doesn't line up. But looking the site plan, I'm comfortable with the way the architect resolved the issue. Either way, if you guys are happy, I hope you guys are happy, we'll go with the pushed back. As far as the rest of the stuff, the material, I mean, I don't have to say you're blended in. We'll see what my colleagues are going to say. I'm in favor, to be honest.
Can we ask the question on this picture?
I'm sorry, the public session is closed, so, but the public session is closed. We can't have dialect. And if you're going to have dialect, the public needs to hear it until, so its public session is closed. And once we're done with it, if everything is going the way it's supposed to go and whatever, I'll give you a couple of seconds, maybe 15 seconds. You can ask the staff, directly, but we cannot have, so, sorry.
Well, I guess I would agree with JP's comments about the conflict that you have within the existing building to the south and this new architecture being introduced into the front of your house. It is sort of the design for the southern house. When you put something in 10 feet further out, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I'm so confused at this point, really. Which way do I want to go? Because the house to the south, really, that corner element is so much a part of that house. You put a building next to it that is a long wall, and whether it's broken apart by a 2-foot jog or a 1-foot jog or a 5-foot jog, you're still going to have a 10-foot long or so wall that extends out. And you put landscaping around it, it's this wall. There's nothing to it. There's no breakup of the mass, I guess, in my opinion. That even if you had a window there, we kind of break it up. But then, of course, we're having privacy issues, so we have different issues to talk about. So yeah, I'm also not sure which way I want to go with that. I will say though that by looking at all the finishes and the style that you've picked with the house, I think it's right on, and it's very sensitive to the existing house. The back of the property, look at the sides, they all integrate very nicely into the existing house condition. So it was just a very straightforward on, if it's a standalone house, straightforward, slam dunk, fine, no problem. I will say that the perspective of modeling that you did kind of points out one feature or aspect of it that I didn't really notice until I saw it that way, which is that that additional piece, that 178 or 150, whatever we're calling it now, addition in the front, makes the house look very bulky or somehow kind of somehow kind of heavier than it used to be. It's not as simple as it used to be, and now it just feels like there's a lot of things that are protruding out in different planes and different elements that are coming out, and it's looking a bit fussy or a bit heavy or a bit something that's more complex than it needs to be. So maybe the solution isn't to put the room there. Maybe it is to go. I don't know. Can the applicant go up? Can they add a second story, or is that just?
The zoning code does allow a second story addition.
So maybe the better way to go is to add a second story from the back over the garage and the new bedrooms, and then leave the front the way it is, so that it's more of a how it is now, which is straightforward. I don't know, not what's a good word? Straightforward, I guess. Yeah. And I was going to talk about the landscaping aspect of it, which was that I appreciate it. The staff had a comment about doing a professional landscape plan, and I know the applicant has put on here landscape materials and called them out. And I think that we had this discussion the last meeting about, at what point do you say, well, it's a remodel, but we need a landscape plan because we realize that there's going to be a lot of demolition going on. In this case, the applicant has put on here materials that are going to be proposed for the areas that are going to be worked on, demolished, and new additional areas. and address ideas. Is it going to be drought tolerant? What sizes? What is the material? So I think that that's actually a good approach to our dilemma that we had about when do you ask for it, when do you don't ask for it. However, I will say that because you put the materials on here, now I can comment on them, and so I can say I don't like this or I do like that. And so there again, it's a double-edged sword. I think the materials are competent and they are fine. They work within what our requirements are, but they're, I would say, uninspired. And I would hope that a house in this neighborhood and with this opportunity where you're going to be, ripping up the whole front yard if you do this addition, or ripping up the whole back area, uses the opportunity to just put in a more inspired landscaping design. And so if that takes a professional landscape designer to create that plan, then maybe we condition it. So that's kind of where that would come from. I do appreciate the effort that the applicant did, but I think I'm going to actually side with staff on that one, just to get something that's more elevated and more of the neighborhood. And I think it would behoove the house and the owners to have a nicer landscape plan. So that's it.
All right. Well, I think we have a very unique situation here. I think we have a house that has a very unique detail there that you normally don't see. A corner window is something very rare to be able to address certain elements there. But it is there, and I appreciate the neighbor coming out and expressing their concern and all the neighborhood. Well, I'm going to address the easier parts first, and then I'm going to jump into this view blockage. I think the easiest part for me is the whole idea of coming out in this section that put aside the view blockage, but the element that is coming out in relation to the rest of the neighborhood. In proportion to the setbacks that you have along the street level, if you measure what's there and what's along the street level, that section should work based on the Google map that we have and all these variations that we have. It will not look as a addition as far as having this element sticking out farther than anything else within the block. It shouldn't. Having said that, we have this situation that we are blocking the view. This really helps. I really appreciate you bringing this in, because I wasn't able to go into your house and take a look at what is going on. Well, I thank you. I appreciate it. I'll take up your offer one of these days. But the view that I see from the window is primarily landscaping. You have a very slight glance of the golf course around that area. So obviously there is so-called view, but again, I'm not here to police viewing from any certain point. I have a suggestion, and I don't know if it's really going to help, or one suggestion that I have is to convince myself, the neighbors, and everyone else to somehow mark and stake the corner of this addition, the revised one, and for us to go to the house and go out and kind of look out and see what really is the impact there. That will help a lot of the, it will solve a lot of the concerns there that we are all talking about. The second suggestion is, and I hate to do this, and I don't think I even have the right to do it, to get into the building floor plan, but I think there is a very simple solution to, if not eliminate this pop-out, maybe come out maybe a couple of feet, and you still have all your components in the building that will it will help. And can I do this? Can I get into the floor plan? I mean, I know I don't have the right to kind of talk about but it affects the exterior. So while everybody was talking, I was kind of trying to figure out if there's any relaying out, and maybe, I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I think you're an amazing architect, and I hate to do this, but I think in this case, I want to come up with a compromise between the neighbors and all these letters that we've gotten, and I think she'll be happy, and I think your applicant will be happy. What happens, and what happens if the bedroom and the bathroom is swapped with the dining, and the dining comes into where the bedroom is, and you can come out maybe a couple of feet out, maybe even bring it up to the same level, or bring it like maybe 3-4 feet, and have the dining room in that corner and the bedrooms on the left corner, and you still have the 2 bedrooms. You have another bedroom in this corner. And this way, it's not coming out 10, 12 feet. It's coming out maybe 2 or 3 feet, and it's pretty much, it'll go right under the eave or the overhang of the roof. This way, you're essentially practically not even blocking anything. Okay, and then I'll let you, because this is a dialect that I think it needs to kind of go back for. That's one option, but I really. You're being modest. This is exactly what.
That's actually a different, turning it into a Jack and Jill bathroom.
Yeah, and so maybe that's the solution. I don't know. I mean, this is another solution. Maybe creating a Jack and Jill bathroom. But there are definitely solutions there that I think it will reduce, and if not, eliminate that extension out without going to the second floor, without impacting and creating these issues. And at the same time, I think it will reduce the cost as well. Having said all of these, remember, they can come in and plant anything around there, and it'll block all the view. So I mean, they have that option there after they're done with that. Oh, yeah, and absolutely, and you have, and everybody has their own many options. So right now, I think it's more of a coming up with a compromise. I think you're definitely well within the means of the zoning code, and so I cannot really tell you you're going beyond and you need to get a variance or whatever it is. So I think it's just a matter of compromising and coming up with a medium that everybody's happy with, and I think it will solve some of your problem as well of having this heavy mass that is being added on a kind of smaller, and it may actually kind of govern for some larger window similar to what your neighbor has and create a larger kind of a dining room that looks out into the view and brings more of the view and the light back into the house. So if you want to talk about it, or?
Well, quick, I did.
Forgive me, because are you reopening the public hearing?
I don't think I do, but.
For the applicant? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I do.
And for the record, your name and address, please, sorry.
Franco Naravian, 409 West Broadway, Glendale, California. There was such short time between, because I just got the emails last night from Givor.
Right.
And so I considered this plan. I met with my client this morning, got approval for this plan, but I did consider what you're saying, and I haven't run it by my client,
right.
But it will work if we get 5 feet. If I come out 5 feet, there's enough room to put a dining room in that and have it be an 11-foot dining room.
You could do it.
Yeah.
I think the solution, I think, whatever that we come up with, and if we do come up with something that everybody's happy with, at the end of the day, to put everybody at ease, I would appreciate if you can actually stake the corner.
Oh, that's...
Just put a pole there so we can see everybody's, this is it, this is where it's going to go, and there's no doubt about where it's going and how far it's coming out and what the blockage is from the view. And this way, I think everybody will be comfortable. And
So try that with the the alternate plan?
I think you go back and figure out what exactly, if you really want this one to come back, then put the stake in. If you want to come back with the 5 foot, put the stake in at 5 foot and come back. And if you want, we can continue this for 2 weeks, and this way, within 2-week period, we can come up with the solution. I
With
think.
the
And
neighbor
I don't
too.
think we need mailing or anything for the 2 weeks, so you can just schedule it for, what's today? Today's the 28th, so it'll be the May 12th.
Okay.
So May 12th, we have a meeting date.
So from what I'm understanding, the board would like to continue this to allow the applicant the time to go ahead and probably within a week,
Mark
is that
the corner?
correct?
Yeah.
Mark the corner with an actual stake.
But he needs to revise the plans too, no?
And you have to,
That will reflect the revised.
He needs to revise the plan,
okay.
and I'm sure, I guess you need to revise it, show it to staff, staff okays it, then if everybody's okay, then you just put the stake, and the stake can go in like a couple of days before, it doesn't have to be a week before. Does it have to be a week before?
I can do it in a week.
I
1
would-
week is enough time for me
Okay.
to do all that and meet with staff.
Is that okay? Am I killing everything?
No, I think that's fine. Typically, we like to limit the use of a continuance to a request for additional information. So, if for example, we record your decision as being provide more information on site regarding the corner of the property, and also say consider revising.
Well, I think
revising the
that's,
plan
I
at the
think, I
front.
think the request is to put a stake at the corner.
Okay.
Now, it's up to the applicants
Right.
to revise the plan, to come up and say, okay, well, I changed my mind, I'm going to go out 2 feet, or I'm not going out, I'm going to leave it the way it is, or it's up to him.
So we'll put that in the record
As
for this
requesting a stake at the
continuous
corner.
requesting, marking that corner on the property with consideration to
Right.
pull it back.
Exactly.
Great.
Okay.
Is that good? Everybody's happy?
Compromise.
For now.
For now.
We just pushed
2
it
weeks.
off. Not my problem.
Now I need to open the public session. Okay, now you can.
Sue Seidenglantz, 3207 Country Club Drive. I have sort of looked at this 10-foot or 12-foot, what I was told initially, and it does seem like it's a big box sticking out next to my house. Again, I'm trying not to be difficult, but I do have to sort of say at the end of the day, I have this great window, and whether I view land or green material, I'm still trying to be fair to the applicant. They are going to end up being my neighbors, and hopefully we're going to live together and share margaritas over the next 10 years or so. But I think that this stake would be helpful, perhaps for both. His 10-foot. I'm afraid I think that 10-foot is probably too much, but I'm certainly willing to take a look at it.
I think the direction that may go is not going to be 10, it's going to be less than that. It may actually be as far, maybe even a foot or more over the overhang. So I think by looking at this, you already have all of this blockage, so theoretically the building line may even come up to this point. So essentially 80-90% of your view is still going to be intact if he takes that route.
Right.
I don't know. But even the 10-foot, I think it will be this much. But without putting the stake and going back, and if you can be kind enough to take another picture like this, you don't want to come in, and if you can bring another from your house, then we can make a decision then. And I think that way everybody will be clear, everybody will know what we're dealing with, and this way, I can make a sound decision. Is it justifiable for denying them or continuing or letting them go?
No, I appreciate that he's willing to do it, and I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think we all are trying to work together,
Sure.
but I also want to make sure that I'd like it to remain consistent to the neighborhood, and
Sure.
I'd like the setbacks to be the same. I don't want to see each one of us rip out the front of our houses to go out another 10 feet. And
Well, that's why we're here, to make sure that doesn't happen. So,
precisely.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody's happy?
Request
Good.
something else, can I?
Yes.
Since
Okay,
you
our
have,
public session is closed, so.
from the architect, if we can get more views from the modeling that you're doing so that we can see, and if you could just do like a box, sort of like an outline shape of where that neighbor is, to kind of get an idea of how far away, how close would the angles look like. That would be very helpful, because I'm sure that angle isn't the only angle depicting the house
By
how it
looking the aerial
is.
view, that
Yeah.
circular window is way behind, it's way back. That's why
Well,
I'm
if it's
afraid
10 feet.
anything addition you do is going to block, isn't it?
He's jogging it over and he's pulling it back. And actually, I like your idea about doing the switch, because I think for me, when I look at this house, it feels like the right side of the house is a more private side than the left side of the house, because you have this huge
Right.
expanse. And so by putting the dining room on the right side and the bedrooms on the left side,
And then
it kind of
this
sways the whole
section-
feeling. But if you switch it back the way it is now,
This actually
I know, I'm
comes up
looking
with
at
it
it
too.
okay,
It's
but
a
I'm
Jack
looking
and
that
Jill.
I'm having problem
yeah,
there.
that could work.
So that can work. So, okay. Well,
Can you,
I think I would like to have a motion.
can we,
Oh,
can
I'm
we
sorry.
look one thing, maybe it's
Yes.
my eyes. Look at the aerial view. You see how the roof line of the existing house
Right,
and the curved area is way back?
right.
I mean, it's almost that curved window is way back. Anything addition you do, it's going to block.
Well,
mean-
I'm going to go with the photo that
Yeah.
I'm going to
Your window.
look at this as my guide.
I mean, she is looking
And-
at the wall already. You're saying it's
Obviously,
See, I didn't
section
go
of
there.
that
Honestly, I
curve-
didn't go. I didn't drive
We
by.
didn't go
maybe
inside the
before the hearing, maybe
know I
we
was gonna
can,
be here.
you know, and what it is that maybe section of this is already looking at a wall, but we don't know. So maybe we just need to go in and look at it more closely.
The window does go further over here. So actually,
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah.
They'll mark it. We'll have more pictures.
Yeah, so I think we'll get more information, and hopefully, excuse me, the architect can take some additional photos, maybe if the neighbor allows to go there, take some pictures there from the window, or you can provide us with some pictures there. So this way, and then we can actually visit the site as well on this side and figure out what the impact is, and we go from there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
We need a motion.
I have a motion, what, to continue?
Yeah, to continue date certain,
Should I give a date?
May
There-
12th.
Is there a second?
You won't be here?
Oh, she can second?
three of us, do we have to be?
But she could second.
Here's a...
If you continue and you don't close the public session, you would be able to go ahead and have the other board members have staff give a brief presentation, and everyone else can speak again if they so wish. Because obviously they are looking most likely at a brand new set of plans.
Yeah, major redesign.
So
So we can continue.
Continue to
now.
the May
Okay.
12th date. Okay, I'll second that.
correct. And I suggest, however, that Mr. Noravian perhaps submit plans, and that those plans be available for review to the neighbors a day or two before the hearing date. That way you have the ability to come into the office, and as you would for any public notice. Just to remind everyone, our staff reports are available a week ahead of time, so everyone is welcome to come in a week before the Design Review Board meeting, take a look at the plans, review the staff report, and ask any questions of the case planner that you so wish. In this case, however, this will be just a few days before the actual DRB date. So.
All right, we have a motion to continue this case to May 12th with no further notice, and it's been seconded by Ms. Sakai. This is a roll call. Mr. Boladian,
Yes.
Ms. Sakai,
Yes.
and Mr. Malikian.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0.
We have minutes.
You do. We have minutes from March the 31st, and all 5 board members were present.
So we can go ahead and make a motion.
Like, there was one case on that agenda, which was 1062 Islanita Avenue.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion by Board Member Sakai. Is there a second?
Second?
By Board Member Baladian. Board Member Sakai?
Yes.
Board Member Baladian?
Yes.
Chairman Malikian?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Okay.
That That's in terms of Stephanie, any announcements?
Okay.
There are no other items on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
It's a motion to adjourn the meeting?
It doesn't. All
Okay.
in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Remember, I didn't do a motion.
Now-